Well, welcome to another episode of the Esports Classroom Podcast, talking with everybody around high school and college esports, just to see how everybody's doing it, what are those obstacles running into, and what are those wins. So I got Scott with us today, so I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Scott.
Hi, I'm Scott Beiter, and I run the esports program at Rensselaer City School District. And that's a small city school, the capital district of New York State, right outside of Albany, New York. And I'm also founder and president of the Empire State Scholastic Esports Federation. And we have a mission to uh, bring the benefits of scholastic esports to youth across New York State. We just were founded a couple of years ago. I myself have been a science teacher for 23 years, and I also coached wrestling for 20 years before I really started doing the esports thing.
Might be able to talk about the differences between wrestling and esports there, but yeah, you got one more year on teaching than I do. I'm only in my 22nd year. So let's start with, how did you get involved in esports? How did you start a program or get interested in it?
Well, it's my first year teaching. Uh, Students found out that I was kind of a gamer, and they wanted to form a Magic the Gathering club. And I was like, whatever, stay after school and play Magic. I played Magic. I'm like, this is cool. Right. And so it kind of started with that and it transitioned into like gaming, and then it transitioned to a Minecraft club. And, eventually, you know, I, I kind of really wanted to do something more so I could see what was happening in some of the other states, and some opportunities presented themselves to get things going in esports at the school. So my journey was always the gaming club, and I just kind of slowly transitioned that to esports.
I think that's a common thing, especially the kids finding out. Like, that's what I constantly hear, whether you're a classroom teacher or not. Like, kids find out you like gaming, they like gaming, they want to get something going with that.
Yep. Kids are the
Uh,
biggest advocates, really. And a lot
yep,
of it is grassroots, where you have the kids that want to do it, and then they have to hound whoever's in their district that might, start a program.
yep.
Um, and so I this started for me in 2018. I got board approved, which I didn't realize that. I kind of realized at the time it was kind of new, but I didn't realize what a trailblazer I was doing an esports program in 2018. Right? You're like, oh, you're like brand new. Everyone's brand new, right? It's
Yep.
like I tell coaches all the time. It's like you are one of the first generations of coaches still, you know, in 2020 26 now. Um, and the way I did it was I went through this progress, but there was a local Call of Duty tournament, and it had a $2,000 scholarship for like the winning team. And all I had to do was show that flyer to my admin and be like, hey, we can do this for kids. What do you think? And that right away kind of opened the door for a couple things. One, having an actual team that would get together and practice for an event, coming up. And it also kind of got my foot in the door with doing shooter games, which
Yep.
is often not a thing districts want to do. But I got my foot in the door. The district basically said they're not going to practice at school. They're not going to play at school. I was like, okay, I'm fine with that because I'm thinking long term, right?
Yep.
One, this is a benefit for the kids regardless. And I knew like that this would be a success, and that the administration and the school board would see the success with those kids. And then from that success, we could build on it. And we did, right? It was a successful tournament. We didn't win, unfortunately, but it kind of established for the school knowing what esports can look like at the scholastic level and the benefits that it can bring to students. And I didn't need more convincing, but I got even more convinced from that experience.
Yep.
And so that was really a seminal, in for the program that I was setting up and running at Rensselaer. Uh, it's it's good stuff. I still think back very fondly on those days.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of the first schools in Iowa really got started around 2019, and so I started
Hmm.
coaching in 2020. So yeah, 2018, I'm finding that's when, I mean, it's less than a decade into high school esports really across the country as organized
Hmm.
activities, and you got started with a little one tournament, but that getting that foot in the door and having to show why we can play these titles, and yeah, for first person shooters, typically have that stigma around them. They're always that obstacle. Some schools they get around that more easily than others. I still can't play mature rated titles in my district, so no Rainbow Six, even though we play Overwatch and Valorant and Marvel Rivals, and we play all these other games. We just haven't been able to get a mature title yet.
Yeah, and it's I had a siege team for 4 years. I had
Yep.
a crew, a really good captain, and that's just like traditional sports, your T sports. Having a good captain on a team can really make a program
Yep.
special, especially in esports when you don't know the title necessarily or you play it. Having that
Yep.
captain to get kids to practice, to get them practicing at practice, doing specific strategies in play and VOD reviews, all that requires a good captain. And for that team, we had a good captain and we had a good run. But now pretty much it's almost impossible to do siege at the
Yep.
K-12 level, because there's no leagues really that are offering it anymore, because basically siege itself said we don't want high school kids playing it
Hmm.
competitively. So same problem with having competitive Rocket League in the middle school. Psionics doesn't want that. Okay, that the publisher determines what we do, which is one of those
Yep.
limitations within Scholastic Esports. But it's one of the things you learn to live with, and you can complain about it. But at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yep. Now one of those obstacles we got to work around to do that. But to get to your point about the captain, like I have a former student who's going to college in town, and he's coming in to
Mhm.
help out our Rocket League team, and then of course he has to talk to our Overwatch team. But when he was our student, he was the captain because this kid has put in the effort. He has that good
Mhm.
leadership ability. He's going to get them to do more things than I can do because obviously he knows more about the game than I do. I don't have the hours in Overwatch or Rocket League. I played, but I no,
Mhm.
it's night and day difference between them and me.
Right. And would he have had that chance to develop those leadership skills if you didn't have your esports program?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I have seen is the development of leadership skills in kids who didn't think they were going to be leaders. Guess what? You're a captain of a team, you're president of the club or whatever. You're in a leadership role,
Yep.
you're a role model, act like it, right? You're a captain, show up for practice and get everyone else there, right? Suddenly these kids are developing these skills that if you didn't have your esports program, no, they would have been, on sitting on the bench in basketball, right?
Yep.
Or whatever else. But no, now they apply to colleges or workforce and just in life, they've developed these skills.
Yeah. It's not the same as playing at home. Like being part of a team,
Hmm.
having that leadership. That is one of those biggest things I always do is the selling point. It's like this is one of those skills that kids can learn that I don't think a lot of the kids that we have coming out for esports may not learn those skills because they're not out for those other activities.
Hmm.
Um, so giving them this opportunity can be life changing for some kids.
Definitely. And I think that's one of those things we've all seen that have run programs for maybe even a year, right?
Yep.
You're your first time running a program. Suddenly you're like, oh, this teachers are telling me this kid's done nothing. And I'm like, well, this kid is a leader. Really? Like, yeah, we all have those successes with kids, um, just because of that esports program and your gaming program. I run my program such that we have the club component and the competitive component.
Hmm.
We only graduate like 60 kids, but in our school, the club has 35 kids in it, right? Usually 15 are competitive. And
Yep.
usually they come in, they see the teams, and eventually most of them will join a team at some point, right? Because they see the camaraderie, they like the games, and they somehow get involved, which
Yep.
is where I find a lot of that recruiting. And I had a student that I had known in eighth grade. It's a small school. I teach all the kids pretty much. We know each other, and he was coming to club, and he was talking all the time, chatty. I get a phone call from a guidance counselor. It's like, oh, is so and so in your program? I'm like, yeah. Well, the teachers are worried because he doesn't talk at all in class.
Yep.
I'm like, talk at all in class? This kid doesn't shut up. Like, and I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, this kid is, you know, has a place to open up, or before he was just going home,
Yep.
right? Not doing anything until I got him involved. And then he was playing Smash, and he didn't want to be on the team, but we do like local lands where we get
Hmm.
together. And he started coming to some of the local lands. And for him, just going to a place where there's a lot of kids and socialization was huge. And I think you know the kind of student I'm talking
Yep.
about, right?
Yep.
Or just getting them someplace in a social environment is a huge win. It's not winning that state championship necessarily. These programs benefit it. It benefits that kid that somehow came out of their shell a little bit more and became a little more social and made friends. What otherwise I wouldn't have had friends.
Yep. No, I think I've seen that happen a lot in my 6 years as a coach,
Hmm.
because it's a space that is welcoming. And hopefully, if you set up right, a lot of kids are going to feel more comfortable there than they do in the classroom sometimes. I had a coach on recently talk about a kid was nonverbal in the classroom, but was a captain on his team.
Yep,
So
exactly.
you then we hopefully gets that kid to be more confident in the classroom too. Then because you get to build
Hmm.
confidence, which not every kid builds confidence in the classroom.
Hmm. Yeah, when you go off to do group work or whatever in your class, suddenly
Yep.
that kid might not just shut down and run out of the room, but might actually participate, which is a win for
Yep.
everybody.
So what titles do you compete in then?
For my program, we do Rocket League, Smash Solos, and Smash Trios.
Okay.
I do have a on again, off again Valorant team. A lot of those players play soccer one season and we'll get together and do Valorant the next. They haven't
Yep.
done so competitively, um, but they would get together and play a lot. And they're such that they didn't think they were good enough to compete, which is usually not the case, right? You're
Hmm.
always good enough to compete.
Yep.
Um, but we had a good relationship with the State University at Albany, which is really local, and they would send students to our school to help coach, right, and walk through playthroughs with kids and
Yep.
show some practice strategies. And then we went to the university and had a practice there. So I think that was a great success, and it shows that there are universities out there that are very supportive of the high school scholastic scene. You just got to reach out and make those relationships.
Yep.
Um, and I'm not going to say that's going to be the case with every program, but most I have found are very much into helping out the high school scholastic program because they see the benefits for their their program, but also yours as well to
Yep.
develop kids.
They want the pipeline to be better. I know I've had coaches come in to talk with
Hmm.
our kids and then run practices. And some of them are just so much better at coaching individual titles than me. That's I'm like, yeah, give us the feedback, because that's what we're gonna do. Like again, we our first season having a coach come in to talk about Overwatch with our team, and this is a new team for me. It was just
Hmm.
great because he was seeing things I was not seeing. Overwatch is not my title. I can't remember the names of all the characters. I always say the hamster guy. This is why I don't do the shopcasting anymore for it. But it is one of those things of I've seen we have a lot of small schools in our state, small
Hmm.
colleges that have esports programs. Our local university, my university, Iowa State University, they have a club, not a full team. So
Hmm.
still trying to get that relationship there just because they can't offer scholarships. So trying to
Hmm.
get connections with other colleges too.
Yep. And
Uh,
so go ahead.
no, I'll let you.
I was going to skip down. I know I have your list of
Oh,
questions
yeah.
and talk about the connection between college and high school, which we're talking about right now.
Yep.
And I have found this past year, I had a crop of kids coming through that are now seniors. And especially working with Empire State Scholastic Esports Federation, I have known a lot of kids in other schools now for like 5 years that
Hmm.
we've been running tournaments. And I'm now seeing like and thinking a lot more about what it is that's that the benefits in those connections, like we just talked about, we could make, but also some of the problems. And one of the biggest hurdles right now is that um, a lot of my students, they might be first year college students.
Yep.
And so not only are they trying to negotiate going to college with which their family isn't very familiar with, but they want to go and play esports.
Hmm.
And they don't know what might be a good fit. And I think this is really important for coaches to then take on that role because the guidance counselors don't know either,
Yep.
right? They don't know what it's like to get recruited for esports. I barely know, right? I mean, like 2018, this has not been going on that long. So I think us talking to our students as teachers, as well as esports coaches, and advising them in that capacity, right? If you're going to a school that's going to cost $40,000, but they're only giving you a $3,000 esports scholarship, but the community college will also
Yep.
accept you and have you play on their team, right? You got to look at the cost and benefits,
Yep.
just like you would for your own kids going to college. My youngest is now in the application process as a senior, and so I'm very attuned to this right now of looking at what are the programs that the college offer. Do they have your major, right?
Yep.
Do they have other things that you want? Is it big school, small school? Uh, these are things that you got to talk to the kids about, and and this universities and colleges, they want to recruit kids, but it's up to us to make sure it's the right fit. Just
Yep.
because it's a D1 school doesn't mean it's going to be the best fit for you.
Yeah, like I said, we have a great community college just down the road
Mm-hmm.
from us, Marshalltown Community College. They have a great esports program, both players, and they do the whole management side too. I've been trying to get some of my kids who may not be looking at going to something after high school. I'm like, hey, this is a great entry point. You can get a scholarship, you can go try it out because I want you to be able to see some sort of education opportunity beyond high school. Whereas I got some other kids who are going to already decide on this 4 year school. And I've always said that, hey, if you're going to, you already have a school in mind you want to go to, they have an esports program, you tell me,
Mm-hmm.
I'll make the connection with the coach. If you want, just to do that, that helps out some of those kids. They don't know how to do that. I'm like, I have no problem talking to people. I do it all the time.
Yep.
And then like one of my kids, he was already going to a college for golf and got on the esports team too. So add in more scholarships, more opportunities to get connected. That was great.
Mm-hmm. And it's also really important for a lot of these kids, as we mentioned, to have an anchor when they
Yep.
get to a school. So I think it is great that they have esports, right? You get on campus, you kind of already have a friend group, you have an adult that's there that can kind
Mm-hmm.
of take you under their wing and answer questions because it can be tough.
Yep.
Like I said, especially if you're the first person in your family going to college or you're going far away, it's not an easy transition for kids. So esports can help, be that bridge.
Yep. Another one of those benefits of having these programs. I've talked with a couple college coaches just trying to see their opportunities and their obstacles they're running into. And it is really that pipeline because not everybody's aware of this. And so it was something hopefully we'll see get better and better as programs get
Mm-hmm.
more set, both at the high school and the college level, and more knowledge goes out there. Because I still got people in my school who are surprised that we have kids getting scholarship offers. I'm like, yeah, it's happened. I got a whole list. Like I'm keeping track. I'm like, I'm in double digits now, because this is one reason why we do it, um, to keep track of all
Mm-hmm.
that. I want to talk a little bit about the state program a little bit because that is one thing I'm curious about is like how different states are doing. So you're president of the Empire State Scholastic Esports Federation. I have to write it down because I can never remember any acronym. How does it work at the state level then? How many seasons do you guys have? About how many schools involved?
We have currently over 60 schools. We have two seasons, a fall season and a spring season. Um, and there's really there's no push for a winter season.
Yep.
Um, One, travel in upstate New York can be difficult in the
Oh
winter.
yeah.
Uh, Two is just it gives everyone kind of a break through the holidays and get ready for the spring season. Might we do
Mm-hmm.
something in the future? who knows, right? It could happen. We try to follow the New York schedule. We're unique. Every state has its own schedule. We usually start classes until after Labor Day.
Yep.
And then school graduation's the end of the last week of June, right?
Hmm.
And it, especially prior, a lot of leagues, the HSELs and play versus those seasons did not match up with New York.
Yep.
Um, like they're already starting regular season. We didn't even see our classes yet, right? We don't even know who's there. And so, because of things like that, we felt it was very important to start getting something specific to New York State, right? We also have a February break, which is weird. Most states don't have that.
No.
And so, yeah, so we have, a unique situation where we kind of really wanted the schedule to match the needs of New York. And New York is interesting in how it deals with student privacy. We have unique laws that have to get worked around, and not only are districts not or not the districts are familiar with it, but it's helpful to have coaches understand that better so we can educate them, but also vendors
Yep.
and partners coming into the New York space. It can be very challenging for them as well to try to negotiate New York as a whole. Not everyone realizes that you have New York State has its school system, but Buffalo has its own school system. New York City has its own Department of Education,
Yep.
and so it's very fragmented, especially when you have one of the largest school districts in the country, uh, within New York State. So it's very unique for those reasons. And we felt just like there were organizations throughout the other states that it was time that we needed our own because teachers were asking for it. We, as coaches, were looking for it to find something that meets the needs of our kids so we could have them be successful and have their own state championship.
Hmm.
So myself and my colleague Kevin Calderon from Washingtonville got together, and basically it was like, well, if you're president, I'll be vice president. And I was like, all right. I don't know if he was trying to like call my bluff or something, but like, oh, guess what? You helped found an esports organization. Say goodbye to
Which,
your free time.
yeah, which is a great thing, but I definitely know it's a huge time commitment to get everything set, organized. Yeah, and being involved in education technology, I definitely knew of New York's. They had special rules around like student privacy because I know that works with various ed tech apps. So I talk with. So
Hmm.
that is an interesting thing that Iowa is a little bit more lax as a state. Um, but you talk
Hmm.
about also that schedule line because yeah, that is a we start really by the end of the third week in August with school. Typically, it has to be after the state fair. That's one of our requirements. Gotta love that state fair driving our schedule. But we're done before. Typically, a lot of schools graduate before the end of May in Iowa. Yeah, we do have a winter season, but I would love a break sometimes because there's no off season. It's like, oh, here's my off day. All right, we finished the state tournament yesterday. I'm going to start practicing tomorrow. Cool.
Right. And one
So
of the
yeah,
things that we're doing is we're organizing, with our partners, good state championships
yep,
for both the fall and the spring. It would be hard to do three championships. I mean,
yep,
it's not like you run, you know, traditional sports for 3 seasons
yep,
and have a state championship. No, you don't. That's ridiculous, right? You look at you and be like, you're crazy. Yeah, don't do that.
yeah,
Like,
uh,
so two is enough,
yeah,
right? 2 seasons enough. We do some LAN events, some local stuff in the winter, like we have one coming up in January. Um, just to keep the kids interested and kind of keep your practices flowing because kids are still going to want to stay after school,
yep,
right? And get with their friends and play. They're not going to not play. So it's good to kind of have something going to keep practices revved up and have some locals so kids can get together in person. One of the things as an organization we really strive for, and I think we learned through COVID, was how important it was to have the in-person
yep,
events. As great as online play is, and that's what a lot of esports is, those in-person events, especially for youth, is incredibly important and valuable for them social emotionally. And that's where I think where we have to educate school boards and their communities about why that's important. It's like, were you not around during COVID? Do you not
Yep.
remember the toll it took on kids not having that social piece? And most of us that ran programs at the time knew the only club that still ran during COVID was esports, at least in my district. And so that was a big win for us. But it also drove home the importance of having the local lands and other local events where kids get together in person and they make friends and they look forward to that next in-person event
Yep.
where instead of just seeing them on Discord, they can see them, in person as well.
Yeah, I love our in-person state tournaments. I've been to them a lot, thankfully. And I always give our board a lot of like, they do a great job putting it on. We're lucky with the space we have. But it is something when those kids are competing in person with kids they may compete with
Mm-hmm.
online, they get the chance to talk with college coaches there. It's a different experience. I always love bringing in the freshmen, the sophomores. I always feel bad for
Mm-hmm.
them when they're on the stage playing at state because you see them sweating a whole lot more. Like, hey, that just means you'll be better next season. It's
It,
a good
it's it and
experience.
it's awesome because it's different style of gameplay.
Yep.
So that team that went like 8-0 in regular season gets to the in-person event, you know, it's a different
Yep.
game almost, man. It's like all of a sudden it's the pressure's on. You're on the stage or you're on stream. You got fans, the spectators. Some kids rise to the occasion. Some teams do. Some don't.
Yep.
So it's fun.
And that's why I've tried doing in-person like practices with some of our neighboring schools because we got a lot of neighboring schools who are also doing esports, and I have those connections with their coaches. I'm like, hey, we'll come up to you, maybe you come to us, just
Mhm.
to make it a little bit more interesting, another experience for the kids.
Yep, and that's what we try to do a lot of those. We try to get those regional play events going on. And through the ISEA, the Interstate Scholastic Esports Association, of course, we have the licensing to
Yep.
do all the titles that we would want to do throughout our organization in the state. So that's been a great benefit to have them able to support all the games and titles that we want to work with.
So we covered a lot of the things I think we kind of talked about. Kind of go with if you had to say like one more win, why people should do esports, what would be your big win for that?
Oh man, we already went through so much.
I know that's well, make sure you give you a chance if there's anything else.
Um, let's see, what else did I write down? I took notes on everything.
Yep.
Um, I should talk about some of the challenges still too.
Yep.
But I think one of the biggest wins, and people see this, is we talked this a little bit of reaching the kids that otherwise wouldn't be reached. There is a misconception that you're going to steal kids from other programs
Yep.
or from like football or I'm like, you might just because games are cool.
Yep.
Sorry. But that's not how it usually works, right? You're getting that group that doesn't stay after school and
Hmm.
you're getting them to stay after school, right? And we know from the research that kids that stay after school or involved in the school community are more likely to graduate.
Yep.
I know we talk about a lot about college. I have kids that have graduated because of esports. Okay. So I'm like, it's that simple. It's not how many kids are going to college. It's like, can you increase your graduation rates,
Yep.
which in your attendance rate across the country, we know attendance is terrible. So is it going to silver bullet with esports, be able to solve that problem? No, but it's another strategy we can use to show kids that we value their interests,
Yep.
right?
And to keep them
We
just engaged in school.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep. Get them after school. And so I think that's one of the things where we have to keep educating, unfortunately, our community members and our school boards about why that is important, right?
yep.
And that we have these programs in school and that they're supported from that local level all the way up through the state.
Yep. You said you also had some obstacles, so kind of hit that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
is
then,
there?
like going all the way through the state level, I think one of the problems we're having now is people like you and a lot of the other coaches, that is a person that's passionate about a program.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's you're the reason that program existed, was started and continues. But what happens when the district decides to move you to another building,
Yep.
right? Or you have to move, right? Or whatever, right? It's the sustainability of programs. A lot of times, like I said, it's grassroots. Kids go to faculty members and convince them to do it. That teacher might not be invested like the kids are or want them to be. And so we've seen a number of programs that, yeah, we can get programs started, but where's the sustainability?
Yep.
And this is a problem uh, as we have, it's growing pains really. As we have esports evolve and last longer, right? There needs to be a way to make sure we recruit right. And I think one of the ways this will happen is, like I said, those kids that started through our programs are now going to college and graduating. Make sure it's important that they realize they can give back, right? They can come back and coach. They
Yep.
can get that coaching position. Um, and they should, because they benefited from the Scholastic program. They can give back to it. And a lot of times they really do. Like you were mentioning, that one student that comes back and coaches for
Mm-hmm.
you. But a lot of that is also, people aren't going to take over a program and work the amount of time it takes to work on a program for $0,
Yep.
right? Consider how much your AD or your other coaches get paid in school. It's a matter of convincing, again, your school board and the administration, the community, that it's just as important to properly fund esports within the school.
Yep.
That's
I
another way
mean,
we're going to reach sustainability. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, I'm not going to retire for another like 6 years, but I have to plan ahead. In 6 years from now,
mm-hmm.
if I were to leave right now, my program would be dead.
Yep.
Right? But that doesn't sit well with me. But that's the case for a lot of programs.
Yeah, you're
What's
touching
it
on
going to
my
look
biggest
like?
fear point.
Right? And that's sustainability.
Yep.
We have a lot of people with a lot of passion, but I've seen a lot of programs that were doing great, and then it goes down because there's no one to take it over. And that goes for
Yep.
like T sports as well. You see that, basketball and football programs go up and down,
Yep.
but they don't get extinguished,
Yeah.
right? And that's the fear with the esports,
Yeah. Our
right?
football team's not going away next year if our coach leaves. I spent my first 2 years at a smaller school just down the road, and then my position was cut. Luckily, I had another co-coach there, so I knew it was going to continue on. And so when I started the program in Ames, that's always been my fear because I don't know how much longer I stay in my districts, but we just had a very successful fundraising opportunity. I have another coach. I get one coaching stipend, and so I split it with him.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I'm always worried about that sustainability because I don't want
Yep.
this to end when I leave. So just the fundraising means we have some money, we have the equipment. We may have been using my Nintendo Switches the last 2 years for competitions because I have multiple of them, and I have no problem bringing them into the district. I worry about, but you don't see that with like football coaches and bringing all his own helmets into practice.
Right.
Um,
And a lot of
yeah,
programs get started with that initial grant, right? The
yep,
district has a capital project or a grant, so they got all the PCs, they get, the arena built up and everything, and but you don't get the salary put into the contract,
yep,
right? That's at this, we're getting to the point now where a lot of that infrastructure is in place. You got your 1 gig connection, you have your filters set up through your IT department, you have all that, but you don't have an established salary, I
yep,
hate to say it, for the coaches to make it
yep,
sustainable. Um, and but that's a matter of education, right? What we need to do, and hopefully what we're doing here, right?
yep,
Of how to make sure we have our programs that will be sustainable. It takes a lot of work to get them started. It
yep.
it does, but guess what? It's going to take a lot of work to keep them going too.
Yep. And that's even across our state. We have, I mean, most of our schools have esports program, but it varies so much on whether there's coaching pay or not, how much. Some schools are like, hey, I got three. I'm like, I have one split into two.
Mhm.
So, I also, first year, both schools with the programs, I didn't get paid. I'm like, I believe
Mhm.
in this enough to do this out of my own time. But I need that pay down the road, but not I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about I need to make sure others can do this.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah, part of that.
I'm always trying to recruit coaches.
Mhm. Yeah, part of that is a state organization in New York. It's every district has its own collective bargaining agreement,
Yep.
right? And everyone's different, right? Some schools, you know, do operate as a club, some operate as a sport, right, within their
Hmm.
athletic department. And this is one of the cases where I have to make that decision for myself, right? It's like next time I go to the school board, do I pitch it like, hey, we need to be a sport, which has its
Yep.
own benefits, but it has its drawbacks,
Yep.
right? I don't want to have to talk to my AD. I'm kind of greedy. I like to do it
Yep.
myself. At the same time, it's, there's more money and stability within the athletic program.
Yep.
And so these are decisions that each district kind of has to make on a case by case basis, still. And it can be difficult, I think, to kind of get your head around all the differences within a district. Some districts, like where I live, not where I work, you have to run the program for 2 years before they'll put it into the contract and you get paid.
Hmm.
Right. Right. Some schools, it's like,
Yep.
oh, you want to do a program? Here you go.
Yep.
Right. We'll give you a stipend. Right. So it's very different. And I think having an organization that's run by mostly teachers, we get it.
Yep.
Right. A big corporation that the national doesn't understand how the systems differ like that. It's something that you have to kind of have the boots on the ground to know how to talk to teachers and what it's actually like to be in a collective bargaining agreement and working with the kids on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. All right. So we're kind of running. We get to that. Anything else you want to share before we get to that last fun question?
Uh, no, I think we're good.
All right.
I mean, we could talk forever, right? So
Yeah, that's what I've been finding is like, and that's what I'm kind of hoping to do. Like, one thing I want to do down the road is maybe bring in like a panel at a time, like so that everybody can kind of share, especially as we're talking state to state, because it is a big difference from state to state and
Mhm.
how this is working. I think at some point it's going to maybe line better up, but that's a down the road thing because we see that with like football and other big sports and activities. They run more similar state to state than they do differently. Esports,
Mhm.
though, is very different still state to state, especially because you
I
don't even have to be part of a state program. You just play
Right.
nationally.
I think some of the rule sets are becoming more standardized.
Yep.
And titles are becoming a little more
Yep.
standardized as well, which is good. But there always there's always going to be that Wild West component of
Yep.
esports where you don't know when a publisher is going to drop a game and it's going to take
Hmm.
off, or when they drop a game and it fizzles, right?
Yep.
Uh, and I think there's always going to be that. We saw that with Marvel Rivals last year, um, where it was kind of like, all right, this is going to be something that's like, okay, it's still around. Oh,
Yep.
let's make it happen. But I think the thing with the rule sets, if you go to, because you have the pro scene kind of sets
Hmm.
the overall rules, and then you can adapt to that rule set
Yep.
going through high school, college, high school, and even into middle school.
Yeah. Well, I think like we have the question of are you going to switch to Mario Kart World or are you going to stick with
Mhm.
Mario Kart 8? A lot of states are grappling with that, which is why I'm making sure we're buying Switch 2s just in
Everyone's
case.
going eight still because World
Yeah.
sucks supposedly.
Yep.
So, and the regular
Uh,
switchers are still cheaper than
yep.
Switch twos. So,
I think it'll be, but that's like some not a lot of other activities or sports have to deal with.
yeah.
Not like the
Yep.
NFL is going to drop new rules and then have to trickle down to the high schools. Um,
And we look at
uh,
like baseball is one, right? Like the distance of the pitcher's mound from home base,
yep.
right? That varies from at different levels.
Hmm.
And so in different, tweaks to the rule set, like is there a designated hitter, designated runner, like different rule
Yep.
sets, not only within the same, your two professional leagues have slightly
Yep.
different rule sets, right? And so it's important, but the game itself has its own general rules that you kind of
Yep.
stick to, and that's what we're
Yep.
seeing.
Yeah, and I think that helps, especially as kids go to college and that we try to follow the
Mhm.
college rules as much as we can. So we're going to end on the fun question. So what game are you currently playing? What's your favorite game of all time?
So I have one gaming group that we play StarCraft 2 like once a
Hmm.
week. So if anyone's interested in StarCraft 2, especially if you're a teacher, uh, let me know. We can get you in. That's been going on for years now. We've had
Mm.
that group. and a lot of it is educators and people in the IT, field and game
Yep.
industry. So us old folks, because it's StarCraft too. I also have a group where I've been playing Valheim with. We have our own little server set up and just building stuff and killing trolls and whatnot. Um, I think one of the games I'll keep going back to is Skyrim,
Yep.
as kind of like my escapist game where it's kind of like I just need some time to just walk around in a made up world
Hmm.
and be somewhere else
Yep.
digitally. That's one where I keep coming back to it. And as far as games, that's it. I have a bunch of other games that I'll play. I play Rocket League quite a bit recently just because I was trying to get better at it to help my
Hmm.
team out. That's a slog though. It's
Yep.
like I enjoy it mainly because like it's a 5 minute game. I can just sit down for 5 minutes and it's over. It's not like when
Yep.
you go to play Valorant or like Marvel Rivals and or even StarCraft, you could be sitting there for 45 minutes.
Yep.
Valorant, especially, those matches go so long if you're playing a full match. Like, I don't know if I have 45 minutes to just sit there without something happening where I have to get up and, oh, dog peed on the floor. I got to go take care of
Yep.
that. Or, oh, there's someone at the door. I got to,
Yeah,
right.
I know I need to play Rivals some more before our spring season, but I'm like, I just don't. My attention span's not there anymore. Like, I need quicker games. So
Yeah,
we'll get to that at
it's
some point.
a hard one. Thankfully, Rivals they are shorter than they are for like I was saying, Valorant and like
Yeah.
some other titles. Where if you go the
Yeah.
best of five, it can take quite a bit, or even a best of three. It's like,
Yep.
okay, do I
Especially
have the time
Valorant where you try to
commitment
get to
to?
15. My team
Yeah,
always ends up like 15, 14 or something like that. So they like to do that to me.
but it's like it's one of the fun things about doing the gaming and esports. Has always been like, sorry, honey, I got to go play video games. It's for my
Yep.
job.
Yep.
Really?
It's it's
Yes.
it's my homework. I have to get better at
Yep.
the game.
Yep. I have to understand at least the roles that kids have to play within the
Yep.
title and the different styles of play, right? And the maps, right? I kind of have to know the map
Yep.
selection process to at least have an idea of, oh, we're on this map. Okay.
Yep. That's why I have to go back to those games every so often. Set my time aside for gaming, you know.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to thank you again, Scott, for being on. It's always great hearing how other
Yep.
states are doing things, and of course, the differences from school to school. So everybody else,
Yep.
keep
Well,
listening.
thank
We'll have
you,
more episodes
Patrick.
coming. Well,
Thank you for
and like I
doing what you
said,
do. It's awesome.
we'll hopefully have a panel on at some point. I'm trying to get to that point. Maybe when everybody has free time, whenever that may be. Uh, you know. All right. Well, thank you so much, and keep listening for more episodes.